Hey everyone, it's Allie and welcome to my channel. So today I am going on an adventure because I am down here in beautiful Summerville, South Carolina, and of course I had to check out the local bookstores. So I did go to one, which will be a short. It's just in the historic downtown Summerville. It's called Main Street Reads, I believe. So definitely be on the lookout for that short. But today we're going to do a full video. We are going to go to this place called Trade a Book, which is, as it sounds, from what I understand, you can take books in and then you can get some credit to buy some more, or you can just, buy books on their own. And everything is used. Not sure about the pricing, hopefully, like $5 and under. Don't want to spend a whole lot on books, but I figured I would just quickly show you the books that I did bring to trade, and I wouldn't recommend a lot of these. So first off, I gotta show off my Book Loft tote. I got this in the Book Loft mystery box I got. I'll link that up above, but this actually is a pretty good sized tote. And I think I have 7 books in here. So this one I read last year, Goodbye Jimmy Choo. Just didn't really like it. It was a chick lit story, but there was like no plot. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this one. Here's one I think I just picked up at Goodwill, and it was like a cozy mystery, but again, just like not that good. So don't want to hang on to it. Okay, this one was written decently well, but I did not like the story. This is Emily Giffen's The One and Only, and I would be interested in looking up more from her because like I said, I did think the writing was pretty good. The story though, it was like about this girl who like has a crush on her friend's dad, and it's just like weird to me because the dad knew the girl when she was young and like followed her growing up. I think she's like in her 30s in the book, and spoiler, they do end up like being in a relationship together. And I'm not like against age gaps in relationships by any means, but I do just like feel like it's odd when it was like a father figure in your life. So just didn't like this one. Also really didn't like this one at all. This is called The Hunting Wives. Again, kind of like normalizing inappropriate relationships. And I think that was kind of the point of the book. I think that's what the author was going for, that you would like hate every character, but when you hate every character, it's just not fun to read and you're not rooting for anybody. I thought this was going to be a bit more of like a thriller. It really was not. There was like some suspense to it, but it wasn't like your typical thriller, and I would 100% recommend passing on this one. Then I've got Me Before You. This one I did debate on keeping just because I want to have a lot of books and I do keep the vast majority. Like this is literally like the 7 books that I picked out of my hundreds of books to trade in. I thought that this one was decently written. I will for sure read more by her. I think I have already in the past. But yeah, just not like the cheeriest story. I'm not gonna read it again. I'm not gonna read the sequel. I'm not gonna watch the movie. So very happy to trade this. And then I do actually have 2 hardbacks here. I've got Dan Brown's The Last Symbol and Angels and Demons. I think I did read both of these, and kind of like the other ones, I just don't want to read them again. I'm not the biggest fan of Dan Brown, so I probably won't read more from him in the future, so I was very willing to get rid of these ones. But alright, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get to the bookstore. Are you hype?
Let's roll.
So I am back home in Ohio, as you can see, back on my couch, and I've got a quite full bag of all the books and a couple records that I did get. So absolutely would highly recommend visiting Trade a Book in Summerville. I did see afterwards that they do have another location in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and that one did look quite a bit bigger than the one in Summerville. The one in Summerville, they had a lot of books. Like you could see it was stacked quite high, but it was very cramped. Like you couldn't really turn too fast or you were probably gonna knock something over. But just a really cool hole in the wall type of place. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to go in there. As you can see, I got a lot of books, I'm sure I would have got more if I had a bigger bag, but this is plenty. And I do have to say major props. I think he's the owner of the Trade of Books. The guy's name was Kenneth that was there. He checked us out and, you know, we had a real genuine conversation for like 15-20 minutes as he was checking us out. We like knew his whole life story. It was really cool. And he very generously gave me all of these books and 2 records for $60. He just gave me like a really big discount just because we're new to the area, we had never been there before, and he was just a nice guy. And I did end up getting 13 books and 2 records, so not exactly sure what that works out to, but yeah, really good deal. And I love going to places like this to get books, or just like thrift stores, because you can kind of just pick up anything that you're remotely interested in because you're not putting like $25 into the copy. But okay, first up, I got J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy. I am a massive Harry Potter fan. I mean, I'm a millennial. I love it. They're my favorite books. I don't think I'll ever read anything that I like as a whole more than Harry Potter. And I never read this because I think I just like wanted to keep J.K. Rowling in that Harry Potter bubble, but I figured it's been enough time now, I should probably try to read her other stuff. So this is under her name, J.K. Rowling, of course, but I know she does also write under Robert Galbraith or something like that, and my mom has said she does enjoy those books as well. But yes, this one I'm very eager to read soon. I also like to pick up any Kristen Hanna book I haven't read before anytime I'm at a thrift store or like a cheap bookstore like this. And she has so many, and she is one of my favorite authors overall. Don't totally love absolutely everything she's written, but I do appreciate that she writes from all different points in history. So this one is called Angel Falls. Nice little copy, so good to like take with me to a coffee shop or something. Sounds a little bit depressing. A girl falls into a coma and her husband's trying to hold the family together. So I have a feeling this is not going to end up being one of my favorite ones. I typically don't love the ones that are set more in present day, but yeah, I definitely have a goal of reading every single one of her books. Ian McEwan, Saturday. He is one of my favorite authors, kind of. I really, really like his writing style, but all of his books are very sexual. And, you know, I don't personally love that, but I just really, really appreciate his writing style. And I do love, love Atonement. That's definitely one of my favorite books of all time. But as I've kind of branched out, I've realized that that is probably one of the tamest of his books. I read one that was like really pretty graphic. So we'll see how this one is, but he's another one that I definitely want to read everything he's written at some point. This one was one that just kind of caught my eye. So this one is called The 40,000 Mile Man, Odyssey of a Pilgrim by George Florian Walter. It follows this guy and he does this 40,000 mile odyssey on foot, as the name suggests. And he's just kind of having this like spiritual quest. And this is also during the late 60s. And I am a religious person. I try very hard to make that the focus of my life, fail all the time, but I do want to read more spiritual books that will help me grow in my own faith. And I think this will be just a super interesting read. And one that I never would like search on Amazon for, you know. Okay, yeah, this is one I don't even remember picking up, but I thought the cover was beautiful. And it does say it's author of the #1 bestseller, The Historian. And I am a huge lover of historical fiction. So this is The Swan Thieves by Elizabeth Kostova, and I'll just read a little bit of the blurb. It says, "This richly told, beautifully imagined novel takes us on a journey into the lives of the women left behind by the renowned painter Robert Oliver." So that's kind of cool. I think that that sounds interesting. I love historical fiction just because they're often super good stories because they're actually centered on real life events, which are often much more interesting than ones we could ever make up. And I always learn so much, I feel like. Like I read a super good book that focused on women that were like in relation, not related to, but connected to somehow to Lafayette. And I realized I didn't know that much about him at all. And so I learned so much about him and the French Revolution, and it was just so interesting. But here is another historical fiction. Philippa Gregory. I have read The Other Boleyn Girl by her. This is 3 Sisters, 3 Queens. So this follows Catherine of Aragon, Margaret, and Mary, the 3 sisters who will become the queens of England, Scotland, and France. family loyalties, affection. The three queens find themselves set against each other. So again, just like a story that is based on reality, and you would have a hard time like making this stuff up. I remember I really appreciated just the dedication and research that this author puts into her historical fiction novels. I am in the market to read some more Stephen King, which I'm kind of like a weird person because on one hand, I like a lot of like very innocent middle grade, but then I read Fairy Tale by Stephen King last year and I absolutely loved it. I do like a bit of dark fantasy, so I'm kind of nervous to read a lot by him, but I am gonna expand my horizons. So this is The Institute, and this sounds really, really fascinating. It says, in the middle of the night, intruders silently murder young Luke Ellis's parents and steal him away from his suburban Minneapolis home, an operation that takes less than 2 minutes. Luke will wake up in a faraway room that looks just like his own, except there's no window. And outside his door are several other doors, behind which are several other kids with very special abilities and who arrived at wherever here is in the same way Luke did. So that just sounds so interesting. I feel like I have this stereotype that all Stephen King books are just like murder, like Carrie, things like that, but this sounds really, really good. On the complete other end, I have this middle grade book. This is called The Abominables, and this is by Eva Ibbotson, and she was one of my all-time favorite authors when I was in middle school, junior high, even high school, and I want to do a whole month of like reading my favorite books from like middle school, and I have a feeling that I will love them as much now as an adult as I did when I was a kid, because middle grade books just often have such good stories. Like if it's a really good middle grade book, it probably will excite you for the rest of your life. And I really remember that I liked her writing style a lot. I never saw this. This probably came out like after I was out of high school, I'm imagining, but I would highly recommend this author. I think she is absolutely fantastic. Okay, and then the last 4 books, I believe these are middle grade. They might be young adult, but yeah, probably middle grade. I had never heard of these before, but I saw them all stacked up on the top. And I believe these are like the only 4 books in the series. I'll definitely put some information up. I tried to do like a really quick Google search, but it was really tight in there. But I figured either way, even if these are out of order or I need to get a couple more books, that's fine. They just looked really, really good. So this is the Thickety series, and I'm sure they got all mixed up in my bag, but one of them is the Thickety Well of Witches. Then this is A Path Begins. Then we've got The Last Spell, sounds like that's the last book, and then The Whispering Trees. And I love, love, love a middle grade fantasy book. I think they're so fun, definitely some of my favorite books of all time. I do want to do a video where I just kind of share some of my favorite middle grade series, so maybe I will do that after I read these ones to see if that would make the list. Okay, so those were all the books, and now we've got the vinyls. So the one that I picked out was The Sound of Music. I remember when I was a kid, we would drive around and we literally had a cassette tape of The Sound of Music. We had that and The Lion King, and we would just listen to that all the time. So it's very nostalgic to me to have this, and I really, really do love listening to music on vinyl, especially music like this where there's like a choir and like some opera to the music. I'm really, really excited to have this. So this was $5, and I decided, you know, I was only gonna pick one, but then as I was checking out before Kenneth, the guy who works at Trade-A-Book, even said, I'm gonna give you this big discount, he said, oh, just go pick another record, it's on the house. And I did have my eye on this one as well. One, the cover is just gorgeous, but it is Nat King Cole, definitely one of my all-time favorites. His voice is so beautiful. And this is The Touch of Your Lips, an album of ballads tender as a kiss. So maybe I'll even kind of display this in some way because I do really like that a lot. But yeah, overall, I had such a great experience. I had a wonderful time in South Carolina in general, and if you are interested in more of what I got up to when I was down there, go to my main channel because I did vlog the whole time and I had a lot of fun. But I feel like my husband and I did have a really good mix of doing a lot of relaxing at the Airbnb, just kind of chilling out. He had some work to do, I had some work to do, but then we also did a lot of fun activities. We did goat yoga. That was an absolute blast. But all right, you guys, if you like this video, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps my channel out a lot. And do let me know, what bookstore should I visit in the future, especially if you do live around this Ohio area. I would love to do a couple, overnight trips in the next few months. But all right, thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!